Hello there. It is week 8 of our Write On class, and due to the fulfillment of my civic duty, I may have jury duty this week, so I wanted to record our class so that we would not fall behind. So let's go ahead and get started on what we need to be doing this week. Okay, I'm going to try our screen this way. What we've already done, we are finalizing these opinion papers. We now have an introductory paragraph. We have our 3 body paragraphs supporting our opinion. We have a concluding paragraph. So there, we should have a 5-paragraph essay completed. Yay, that's awesome. So well done. You have certainly deserved a lot of kudos for your hard work. I know this has been challenging, and hopefully you have grown to be a stronger writer through it. All right, so what we're going to be doing now. Next is the star and the 4 coloring editing technique that I like to use. You may recall that STAR is an acronym, and this is how we revise or revisit, take another look at the work that we've done. And STAR stands for substitute, take out, add, and rearrange. So that's exactly what I want you to do, 1 paragraph at a time. Now I have my example for you right here. This was my introductory paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and put a screen overlay here so I can show you a few things. So this was my paragraph to start my essay, and when I wanted to go in and star my essay, I wanted to start with the beginning, and so that would be starting with the letter S, which would be to substitute or take out, to substitute one word for a better word. Now you can see here, I've actually tracked all of the changes that I've made over here, okay? I just think it'll be an easier visual for everyone to see what I did. So let me do it this way. I'm going to put my acronym here. And this is something that I will always recommend that you use above and beyond just this class. You can use this anytime for any writing project. It's a great way to revise and make your writing better. It's already good, but we want to make it even better, okay? So here's my STAR acronym. So I want to make sure that I'm looking at all of these different parts. So right here you can see I deleted something from this little dotted line. It did say, should any and all types of service animals be allowed in public places? And I decided that's a little too wordy. I should probably take some of that out. And instead, all I kept was this word, all. I just kept that, and I took out these other words because it just was too wordy, and it still makes good sense. Should all service animals be allowed in public places? A lot of times, writers tend to put too many words in on their first drafts and can often find things they could take out that will just condense the writing, making it stronger and to the point. Here, I also thought, instead of it had said in a public place, I took out A and I added in an S. It was a minor change, but I would still call that another take out, and I would also throw that in as an addition because I made this plural. Now over here on this one, I deleted have a law allowing. All right, so it did say, in my opinion, it is appropriate to have a law allowing only dogs and miniature horses. I realized with one word, I could take out 4. So again, I took something out, and instead of allowing, I had put in limit. So I substituted a word, I made a word choice, a word change there. In my opinion, it is appropriate to limit only dogs and miniature horses in public businesses. Now, as we come on down, you're going to see here that I had the word or words, some service animals might have bad behavior. And I changed that. I substituted well, let me do an add, I added in a better word, display, and I substituted poor for bad. So I did that as well. I still kept everything in the same order. I've not done any rearranging because this is the order that I'm going to have my body paragraphs follow. First, I'll be talking about the poor behavior issues. Secondly, I'll be talking about the disease issue. Thirdly, I'll talk about the destructiveness issue. So that's all going to stay in that order because that's the order that my next paragraphs are going to be in. But if that doesn't match, this would be a very common place that people might rearrange their words. And then lastly, I decided instead of stating that it's a important law, I said it was a suitable law, meaning a fair law. I thought that actually is probably a better word choice. So boom, I substituted a better word choice. That is what starring a paragraph looks like. I would say it probably took me, not very long, 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to go through and really take my time. And what a lot of young writers want to do is just look at it and go, no, it's good, I like it the way it is. That's not really challenging yourself to make it better. You really want to look at each sentence at a time. This is that moment where you're kind of a bit of a doctor and you're really getting in there. Remember that game Operation, right, where it has all the little body parts and you have the tweezers and you're really trying to be very careful one at a time, removing bits and pieces. That's how you want to look at revising and editing. You're going in really carefully with those little tweezers and you're being careful to take your time, really look closely. Okay? That's what I want you to do when you are starring your essay this week. All right, let me erase those and let's come on down to our next slide. And I may need to remove that. Now, does it go down? There we go. Okay, now this is new for about half the class. And I know that this is too blurry for you to read, so don't worry. I did some close-ups, but I just wanted to show you. I'm going to be emailing this to you. It's one page and it's colorful. Scroll down. See, we've got black, red, blue, and green sections on this one sheet of paper. This is called the 4-color editing technique. I did not come up with the idea of using these great 4-colored pens to do editing. I learned it from some teacher at some point. But then I've created my own checklists through the years. I always adapt them to what it is we might be working on. And so I've created one this time to help you with an opinion paper. So let's take a closer look at what this is going to look like. And again, this is something you're going to want to print off because take a look. It's a little checklist for you. See? Now you can read it a little bit better. So what I do is I get my 4-color editing pen. And do you have to have one of those 4-colored pens? No, you don't. You could have 4-colored pens or pencils even. And it could be whatever 4 colors you want. The point is to just be consistent. So with one color, and I will use black first, I go through one paragraph at a time, and I just look for these things with the black pen in my hand. And I will look and I'll check, are all of my sentences complete with the subject and the predicate? Do I have any run-on sentences? I want to make sure I do not. Did I check any of those tricky homonyms like there, there's, all the yours? And my sentences, do they have varied beginnings? I don't want to start every sentence with the, or then, or he. It is not interesting writing if you have all the same beginnings. And in fact, did I use good transitional words between my sentences from sentence to add flow to my writing? That's the other handout that I have for you this week, by the way, are a great idea of transitional words like these. So transitional words are words that transition the reader into the direction that you are going. It's a great way to create flow in your writing. And I love this handout. Again, you'll get it in an email, and so I want you to print it out. I want you to keep it. You'll use this for all kinds of things, but these are just a few. So if I'm about to give some examples, rather than just going into that, these are some great transition words that will help you transition into this next thought. People who do grade our state testing, they love transition words. So get familiar with transition words. Take a look at them as you're going through with your black pen and choose some of these to make your writing better. So again, let's take a look at mine. Okay. So this is the paragraph that I made those other changes to when I started. Remember, I took out all those other words and I just left the word all, and I made that plural, okay? Now can you see with my black pen over here and over here? I took a look with my black pen and I made sure, what did all my sentences start with? Let's see, this sentence started with should, this sentence started with in, this sentence started with some, and this sentence started with a. Okay, not one of my sentences starts with the same word. I like that. I don't want them to. And then I made sure, are they all complete sentences? Yep. Are any of them run-on sentences? They're good. They're super good. So I'm happy with all of this. But when I got to transitions, I noticed, I have a transition here in my opinion, because right away I am helping transition my reader into understanding where I'm going. I'm about to give you my opinion. But then I thought, I don't have a good transition here, and I really don't have a good transition here. So I looked on that list, and since I'm about to give some examples of how some animals shouldn't be in public places, I decided, for instance, would be a great transition into that list. So my little caret here is going to tell me, add in, for instance, some service animals might display poor behavior, carry disease, or become destructive in a store or restaurant. Same thing here. I didn't have a transition. I just went into the sentence. It's easy to add one. I'll just add therefore. This is telling you, I'm about to just tell you one last time as I end this paragraph, therefore, a restrictive law like the one we have is suitable. All right, next it's time to look at my paragraph, and I use my red pen for this. Did I indent my paragraph? All 5 of them? But remember, we're working one at a time, so I'm going to look at this first paragraph. Do I have an effective opinion introductory paragraph? This is an opinion paper. Am I clear what my opinion is? Do I have 3 body paragraphs? And do I have a clear conclusion? Those would be those 5 paragraphs there. And have I included a quote in each of those body paragraphs where I credited my source? Those are the things I'm looking for with my red pen. So take a look. See how I've written some things in red? I'm just checking. Yep, I indented. Did I give my opinion? I clearly gave my opinion. I even told my reader, here comes my opinion. Okay, so you can see how quickly this can check to make sure you have all the parts you have. Of course, if I didn't have a clear opinion, this would be the time that I would write it in with my red pen. Alrighty, next I'm going to grab my blue pen. Now with my blue pen, I'm checking on my mechanics. Now, some of you may be thinking, she mentioned grammar, now she's mentioning mechanics. Aren't those the same thing? They're actually not. Come back up here. When we're talking about grammar, we're talking more about nouns and verbs, right, that have complete sentences. I'm talking about an incomplete sentence versus a run-on sentence. I could even be talking about things like those homonyms, but a lot of times you're working on more of the parts of a sentence. When I come down here to my blue marks and I'm working on my mechanics or conventions, you might hear people refer to this as the conventions of writing. These are more of the things that have to do with my periods and commas, the correct punctuation marks, things like that. So here's my checkoff list, and it's in blue. So did I read my writing aloud to see where I need to stop or pause for a period, comma, question mark, or check those exclamation marks? And I always add this one in. Do not use too many exclamation marks. Yeah, that's just kind of over-exaggerating my point. But It's something that students often do. So I prefer that you stay away from using them pretty much always in formal writing. I mean, in an essay like this, I really wouldn't want to see more than one or two, okay? Then I'm going to make sure that I've got capitals at the beginning of my sentences. I want to make sure that if I have proper nouns, those are capital as well. And if I'm using commas, I want to make sure I have them if I have items in a series like I ate pancakes, sausage, and strawberries for breakfast, or between a city and a state, or if I have two combined sentences that are complete sentences connected with that conjunction. Also, if I'm using large numbers. So let's take a look. My blue pen looks a lot like my black pen, I have to say, but here I was checking. Do I have a capital? Yep. Capital? Yep. Capital? Capital? I do. So I checked all of those. And then I underlined like, should service animals be capitalized? I need to ask someone about that. This is exactly the kind of thing I would want to see you do. These are your little marks to either look it up yourself if you're questioning something or ask an adult, do I need to capitalize service animals? And the answer is no, you do not. But again, if it's something you're questioning, this would be the time to underline that with your blue pen. I also made sure, I've got the commas where they need to be. Okay, I look really good here. Store and restaurant, those are not proper nouns. They're not specific names, so nope, those would be lowercase too. Again, I'm just checking myself to make sure I've got everything looked at closely. Lastly, we've got our green pen. Now, in the green pen, you're going to be looking specifically at spelling and vocabulary. So I'm going to circle any word that I'm not 100% sure about, and then I'm going to get to that dictionary or look on my phone or however you want to check your spelling. And I understand most of us, we're already typing these up in a Word document, so it's likely going to correct it for you at this point. But if you're not sure, this would be the time to look. Specifically in this one that you can look for that it's not going to correct, and that is, are there interesting and strong academic vocabulary word choices? So here we go again. It's getting very colorful, isn't it? Now with my green, I'm taking a look at my specific word choices. I circled miniature because I want to make sure, did I spell that one right? And I did, so I checked it off. Did I use strong vocabulary? Yeah, I found 6 good word choices. I feel really good about that. 6 good word choices in one paragraph. That's pretty good. So I'm feeling great about my 4-color editing. It's now time to make all those changes, and ta-da, I have my revised and edited introduction. There we go. Should all service animals be allowed in public places? In my opinion, it is appropriate to limit only dogs and miniature horses in public businesses. For instance, some service animals may display poor behavior, carry disease, or become destructive in a store or restaurant. Therefore, a restrictive law like the one we have is appropriate. Okay, there we go. My paragraph is complete. I would say between starring my paper, which like I said probably took 5 to 10 minutes, and then going through with each of my colors, which I took more time, I would say altogether it will take you 20 to 30 minutes per paragraph to make sure that you have everything the way you like it. Some paragraphs are going to go more quickly than others, but please take your time as you go through this week and make sure that you are happy with all of the parts that you have. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you this week is I found, and I will email this as a whole packet, I found actual student essays from state tests a year or 2 years ago that they have now released and allowed us to look at so we can see how they graded other students' work and see what grade those students earned. So this is an example of a low score. Now, when you get scored on your writing in the state testing, you will be scored on a couple of areas. One will be the content. One will be the evidence that you use. And one will be those grammar, mechanics, conventions, spelling, all of that part. The first one, when they're really looking at your content, you can get as low as you can get as low as a 0, but that'd really be no effort. So most of them will either get as low as a 1 or as high as a 4. So a 4 is the best you can get. A 3 is definitely what we're striving for. 3 means you are writing at grade level. If you score a 4, you're writing above grade level, which is fantastic. But if you got a 3, you should just be simply proud. That's fantastic. Same thing in using evidence. They'll score you between a 1 and a 4. 1 being a low score, 4 being above your grade level expectation. Now in the grammar, conventions, and mechanics, that they'll score a 0, 1, or 2. And I've seen more zeros in that category. Again, a 1 means that you're where you could be for a grade level. A 2 obviously means this is a strength of yours. So I have just a few here to show you that you can read along with me. And then, like I said, I have this as a handout that I will email you as well. So this was a student who scored low. This person scored a 1. So I want you to listen and see if you can pick out why. They have 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. Looks like they indented one of them. They didn't indent the other 2. We really want to go with consistency. Some people don't indent anymore. They leave a space in between, telling the reader this is now the new paragraph. That is acceptable. Indenting is also acceptable. But to do in between, they have a little bit of both, doesn't look as neat or organized. Okay. I think that other animals should be allowed in public because they can be helpful in handing people things and being friendly, like it is written in the following passages. In the first passage, it is written that a monkey helps a man in a wheelchair by handing him cool drinks, playing a CD, and turning the lights on and off. In the second passage, there was a girl that needed help swimming, so a group of dolphins helped her swim, and that is why I think that other animals should be allowed in public. Okay, I imagine right now you already are telling me, oh, that's wrong. Oh, they could have fixed that. Oh, they should have done this. Oh, all right, I know you. I know you're really good at things like this. Let's take a look at what the people who graded this opinion paper had to say. They did give credit that the opinion is clearly stated, which is why they at least earned a 1, right? We know that this person did form an opinion. So that's really good. They're even giving this person credit for a brief introduction that explains what the support will be. There is a brief repetitive conclusion that other animals should be allowed, spelled wrong, in public, which they picked up on that. So it is very brief, but it does not maintain the focus. In other words, the line that they said about dolphins, well, there's really no discernible progression of ideas it talks about. And it says the support offered seems random with no sentence-to-sentence cohesion. The brevity of the response also confirms the score of a 1, meaning it's short, brief, it's short. So the student didn't spend a lot of time, and this, as I've pointed out, would score a 1. Okay? This student scored a 2. Okay, so this is a step up. This is getting closer. And again, a 2 is not bad. It's not bad. You're almost to grade level. This student, again, has 1 sentence, which does not qualify itself to be a paragraph. So we're seeing multiple paragraphs, but we're really only seeing 3 paragraphs and then just a opening statement and a closing statement. I think that the new law is very reasonable. One reason is because people can get diseases from a snake or a pig. This law protects people from getting sick and is a trouble to their owners who carry them around every day. This law also shelters people from danger. If someone were to take a snake into a restaurant, it could swallow someone whole. But if the rule were to stay, people would stay unharmed. A dog also sits quietly at shows and other things. So besides, this law doesn't enforce that you can't have a service animal anywhere. So you can still have a monkey or a bird in your home helping you. You just can't have them in public places. That is why I think the law should stay. Okay, so again, you're already noticing, right? I know you are. I know you're already noticing what you would change about this. And some of these things could have been changed even if the student took time to reread their work. You are untimed. You have plenty of time to do this. So you have plenty of time to reread your work. Here's what the grading person or people had to say. In this one, the response provides a brief introduction and a conclusion that states and repeats a simplistic opinion. The body of the article begins with a clear focus, but that focus is not fully sustained and minor drifts are evident. For example, this law protects people from getting sick and is a trouble to their owners who carry them around every day, and a snake could swallow someone whole. So it kind of drifts off. There are some transitions. Remember, I told you they like transitions, also, but, and besides. And the response has a sense of completeness, although not enough for a score higher than a 2. So, better than just a 1, but still could use some work. Here's an example of a 3. And this is grade level. Let me shrink that down just a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Okay. Follow along with me. This one says, and do you already see the difference, by the way? Multiple paragraphs. This person indented every paragraph and left the space in between. And this one says, in this opinion article, I'll be telling you my opinion about the service animal law that was made in 2011. Already I love it because they took a fact clearly and stated it right in that paragraph. It states that only service dogs can be used as pets in public places. I think it should be different because of many reasons. Here are some of them. If this person had said, by the way, in this paragraph, the reasons that they were about to explain, I guarantee you that would have scored them potentially to a 4. Okay, so I think that the law should be changed because people with disabilities should be able to choose what service animals they take into public places or into public places with them. I also think that the service animals need to be checked by a veterinarian to make sure that the animal doesn't carry disease around in public places. I think this because people with disabilities should have the right to choose a service animal they are comfortable with. Here are some of the reasons people might want different service animals. And then he goes into this paragraph. Some service animals can perform more complicated tasks than others. Most people choose their service animal so that they can be comfortable with it. For example, a service can't get their master a drink like a monkey can. Service animals have many tasks that they help their master accomplish. For example, they help with everyday tasks or they just comfort their master. Some people choose lizards, snakes, pigs, birds, cats, monkeys, and dogs as their comforting service animals. I understand the fact that people don't want animals with diseases in public places, but the owner needs to be comfortable with their service animal. That's why the law should be like it was before it was changed in 2011. Okay, so there are the reasons. She thinks or he thinks it should change. Here are some reasons why. Here are some more reasons why, and then wrapping it up and restating. So there are a lot of things that are much better with this one than the very first one. But I bet you're still seeing things that you would change in this. This is appropriate for grade level, though. Like I said, this person scored a 3. 3 is grade level. I would absolutely be applauding a student who wrote that. There are a lot of things that are good with this writing. So let's see what they said about it. They said, this response has an opening that demonstrates an emerging sense of effective introductions. It states the opinion and provides enough context with the law states to inform the reader something lacking in many of the lower level responses. There's still some vagueness. It should be different. Here are some of them. Combined with some unnecessary repetitive phrases. In this opinion article, I will be telling you my opinion. We've talked about that. If this person was starring their paper, I certainly would have had them take out that repetitiveness. But it still shows an awareness of an effective introduction. The response has some appropriate transitions, but sometimes the connections are interfering with coherence. For example, I also think the service animals need to be checked by a veterinarian to make sure the animal doesn't carry disease around in public places. I think this, referring to the veterinarian, because people with disabilities should have the right to choose a service animal they're comfortable with. That's not really a logical connection between a veterinarian and then people get to choose. It should have had more to do with the disease instead of going into being comfortable. So they felt that was a little bit unclear. On the conclusion, they felt that it began by addressing the opposing point of view, which again, when we've talked about this, if you are in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, they like the opposing point of view. That's called the argumentative essay. They're saying a 5th grader didn't need to say, now some people may believe this way, but this writer did, and even though it wasn't required, it was effective. They liked it. Again, all of that put together validated their reason to give a 3 in that category. All right. Finally, what does a 4 look like? What does a 4 look like, right? Because that's what I know you're all looking for, a 4. Okay, this was a 4. Right away, you can see its length. This is somebody who really took time to put together a 5-paragraph essay. They like that. The thing that I'm most surprised about, I have to say, in all of the ones that I looked at, I didn't see direct quotes from the sources. And I'm telling you, they would have loved that. So even though you're not seeing that here, I just think that would have put it over the top and made for an excellent, excellent writing piece. But you'll hear this writer does use a lot of the information that we read. They just didn't quote a direct quote. And I think if you do, it's only going to help you. Okay, so this one says, would you stand against an unfair law? Look what they did. They used a hook. My opinion on the new law about only letting service dogs go with their owner in public places would have to be that I think we should let any kind of animal in a public place that helps people with disabilities. My reasons are that we should respect people's choices, know if the animal can't go in, neither can the person, and remember they've paid a lot of money for this animal. Okay, do you see the organization? Right away, respecting people's choices, hopefully is going to come up in this paragraph. Let's see. My first reason for letting any service animal in a public building is that we should respect people's choices. Do you see how this person did that? And not judge them by what animal they think is best. Some people like dogs, monkeys, pigs, birds, cats, or even a lizard. These animals are all great, and I would choose any of them for a guide. Monkeys can even help someone drink out of a straw or play a CD. That is what was in the article. So they're counting that as an equivalent to using the quote. Then we have an opinion. That's amazing. I personally wouldn't have put that part in, but it's okay. Although dogs are the most common service animal, all of them are just as great, and I think having a different animal as a guide would be fun. From monkeys to pigs, what will be next? A frog? So you can see they're trying to add a little humor, a little personality, a little voice into their opinion paper, which is perfectly okay. Not necessary, but okay. The second reason, and again, do you see these transitions? My first reason, my second reason, my last reason. All right, second reason, we need to keep in mind that if an animal isn't allowed to go in, neither is the person. And again, go back up here. Is that the same order that she mentions or he mentions? Yes, it is. Now that they have banned all service animals except for dogs in public places, the human can't go in because they need their animal to see. This is not fair, and we need to let everyone know that even though you may not want the animal in the store, the person is now not able to go in because it needs its service animal to get around. Now the last reason. My last reason is we need to remember these people have paid a lot of money for these animals. Now the animals are not doing their job since they can't go to any places that people have paid their money and can't even have the service animal take them to the places they might need to go to. Boy, that is a run-on sentence there. This is a big waste of money for some people. I think we need to stand up and allow the animals to go into each store no matter what. There's also a lot of spelling errors you may have caught in there as well. So maybe this person's only going to score a 1 in the grammar or convention mechanics area, even though they got a 4 for what their content and their evidence is. Remember, there's those 3 separate categories. Finally, the conclusion. This law is not fair to all the disabled people. I know if I was disabled, I would protest, great word choice, and hopefully get my rights to go into the stores. The 3 reasons, should have written that out, the 3 reasons are that we should respect people's choices, know that if the animal is banned from the store, the person can't go in either, and remember that their animal is a lot of money. See what they did? They did the filter effect. Hopefully these 3 reasons will start to get people wondering about the new law. I feel strongly about my opinion. I hope other people will too. That's great too, because that's even adding what's called a call to action at the end, saying, go change your mind because I've given you great reasons why. Okay. So they loved this one. They scored this above grade level. And as you can see, they're not expecting perfection. We found things that were wrong, but that's okay. All right, so let's see what they say about it. They say this writer effectively supports the opinion using purposeful scenarios as examples, followed by drawing logical generalizations about the effects of these scenarios. For example, paying money to train the animals, and then being unable to use them for their intended purpose was a waste of money. That they liked that. That was a good connection. The style, however, is uneven. The response begins with an effective rhetorical question, would you stand for an unfair law? But later uses a somewhat inappropriate question answer. Like I said, what will be next, a frog? Remember how I just mentioned? Not necessary. Adding in a little bit too much personality there, it wasn't necessary. Now, it didn't drop them down to a 3, but they're just pointing out that wasn't necessary to put there. The language is also similarly uneven. It ranged from a distracting phrase, such as my reasons for second, third, to a more mature recycling stand against in the introduction, or to stand up and allow, as they did in the final one. Despite these flaws, the overall development of text-based ideas helps move this response into a 4 scoring category for evidence and elaboration. Okay, so there you go. You get a little bit of an idea of what they're looking for. They're not expecting perfection. I am telling you, if you apply the things that we've practiced, you're going to do great. You're going to do great. Here's this week's homework for you. We have, we're going to, we didn't actually meet in the big blue button. I, in fact, couldn't even get online and into the big blue button, which is why you're getting a YouTube video today. But here's how I would break things up. So starting your paragraphs, you've got 5 paragraphs. This could take an hour of your day on Tuesday if you really get into it and really revise well. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, possibly Friday, I would break up the 4 color editing. Maybe just do a couple paragraphs a day, okay? It really depends on how much you get into it. If you just quickly go through it and don't give it much time, it's not going to take you long, but you're also not going to improve your writing dramatically. So especially if this is your first time using the 4 color editing, I advise you take your time. Spend a little more time on writing this week. Maybe give yourselves 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes on Wednesday. See how far you get. And then on Thursday, another 30 to 40 minutes. See how far you get. Friday, do any of your final touch-ups. And read the rest of the graded essays that I'm going to send you in that packet. So you kind of get an idea of who did well, why they did well, who did poorly, why they did poorly. And then just be sure, before you head off to spring break, I'm excited to see your final drafts. So please go ahead and send those to me. If you need time over spring break to work on them, I want you to take time off. I want you to enjoy your family. But I understand some people like to, still keep things, little bit of work even when we're on vacation. So if you want to work at all on it over your spring break, feel free to send it to me even after Friday if you like. I'll be checking my emails So whatever works for you, that's going to work for me. All right, you know how to get a hold of me if you have any questions at all. And I will see you soon. Have a really great vacation, everyone.